What is up, 290 gang? Let's get it, baby. Today we're going over my top early round conviction plays in Underdog Best Ball Mania. Feel free to apply these to your redraft leagues. Of course, Underdog and redraft are two separate drafts. Running backs are going to be a little higher in normal redraft, whereas obviously the ADP is inflated for wide receivers. There's been a gardener outside. Hopefully he's chilling. Before we get into the video, I'm launching my new channel, Natty VLOGZ. It's going to be fitness, dating, lifestyle content. Basically just like vlogs on what I do, my self-improvement journey. We got a lot of stuff coming up on there. First videos are going to be out probably next month, early September. I've been working really hard on this channel. We've got tons of equipment, been putting a ton of editing. The video quality will probably be a lot higher, I guess, on there than this channel, which is kind of a commentary gaming channel for me. Anyways, enough yapping. If you like my personality, please hit sub on the new channel, and let's get right into it. So, the first player I'm in love with this year is JT, Jonathan Taylor. Right now, going as the running back 5 with an ADP of 16.1. I have Jonathan Taylor in close to my top 10, definitely a first-round pick in my rankings, even on Underdog. And I have him higher than Jahmyr Gibbs. My reasoning for this, simple, is JT has never not posted clear running back 1 numbers, like top 5 running back numbers when he's been healthy. He has struggled with injuries the last couple of years, so his ADP is a little deflated because of that, but this is a guy just like 1 or 2 years ago was going at the 101 in a lot of drafts. He has the most locked in volume out of the round 2 to 3 running backs. If you look at these guys that are end of round 1 to like round 3, Gibbs is still in a committee as much as people as much as he is a lead back. Monty's still going to be a factor in that offense. Saquon probably has the most locked-in volume outside of JT, but JT's a full 2 years younger and still in his prime. Both of them, Saquon's at 27, which is starting to get concerning for running backs, and both Saquon and JT do have that rushing QB, so you can't, so that's basically even in my book at least. And the Eagles actually ran more with their QB with the tush push, stuff like that. Who else is like round 2, round 3? Anyways, I think JT clears. I have him as a first-round pick. Getting him at ADP 16.1. Amazing pick if you're running a hero running back build. I love taking JT in the second and just drafting wide receivers, tight ends, QBs outside of that, and then waiting on your running back because you know you have that rock-solid running back 1 locked in JT. Second player we got on the list, DJ Moore. He's actually fallen a little bit from when I first made this list. Currently going as a wide receiver 22, ADP 30.7. So I don't get why DJ Moore is getting drafted this low. So let's talk about it because unlike JT, DJ Moore's situation did change quite a lot. So last season he was a wide receiver 6, the wide receiver 8 by points per game. And now he's getting drafted as a wide receiver 22. So what changed? Basically the Bears offense added huge target competition. Obviously, they changed QBs to Caleb. That's probably a net positive from Justin Fields, even though Fields and Moore did have a great relationship, passer receiver. But Caleb was probably an upgrade. He, in my opinion, is going to be immediately the most talented QB DJ Moore has ever played with, which is why it's puzzling to me that DJ Moore's ADP is projecting him basically to be a low-end wide receiver 2 when he was a solid wide receiver 1, like by all estimations last season. He's still in his prime or entering it even. And let's talk about the main red flag with DJ Moore, which is the added competition. So you added Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. So Keenan Allen, I think we can kind of say, might take some targets, but he's definitely a different fantasy archetype. He's a very like PPR friendly, get those short targets. He doesn't really have the downfield threat that DJ Moore has. I think their target trees are going to be very different. And Odunze obviously is a talented rookie coming in, first-round pick. But I do think there's no way I see DJ Moore falling below both Odunze and Keenan Allen. And I think Caleb will support 2 top 24 wide receivers, in my opinion. So to me, I'm betting on a guy who's been an established wide receiver who might still be the most talented wide receiver. It's either him or Odunze. But DJ Moore has that NFL experience to be that day 1 security blanket for Caleb Williams and hopefully replicate or even improve on his performance next season because, like I said, this is by far the best offense, best QB DJ Moore has ever had in his career. And to expect him to regress with that, in my mind, is a mistake, especially at the super low price. He was at wide receiver 18 like a month ago. Next up, we got Amari Cooper, one of my favorite smash plays, dude. I love Amari Cooper this year. Now, Amari Cooper is getting on the older side. How many years old is he again? I forgot to. He's 30 years old. So that's kind of when we do see wide receivers take that step back. Honestly, his ADP at 39.9, wide receiver 28, is kind of understandable because of that. Now, the main thing I just think people are missing with Amari Cooper is I just think people are low on him this year because of factors totally out of his control. So if we look at his actual stats, obviously we know the situation for Amari. Not much has changed there, outside of obviously the end of, well, we'll get into the QB situation later, but he has zero competition in the Browns wide receiver room. Even though he's getting older, Amari Cooper would have to massively fall off or get injured to not lead the Browns in receiving yards. The next competition he has is Jerry Jeudy, who they brought in. Not real competition. Jerry Jeudy is just a guy, basically, from what all we've seen in his NFL career, and Jamari Thrash, who's like a 6th-round pick. So Cooper has usually been a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2, with, even if you just give him a competent QB, even like post P Diddy Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper has held down that wide receiver 1 role and been like a sleeper wide receiver 1, a no-hype wide receiver 1 every year. Now his price is so deflated this year. Why is he drafted wide receiver 28? It's literally because of one player. It's because of Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If we look at the games with Cooper playing with Deshaun Watson, who, as we all know, in 2024 is not that great of a QB, and Flacco, who's a good fantasy QB for receivers, but Cooper with either Watson or Flacco playing average 102.4 yards per game with one of those two playing. And I know a lot of people are going to say it's inflated because of the Flacco games. It's very similar with Watson. Cooper's production is very, very similar with Watson and Flacco on the field. So as long as he has Watson or a capable backup QB, he even performed fine with PJ Walker. Like, you would not be mad at his fantasy production with PJ Walker. So as long as you don't have Dorian Thompson-Robinson starting and Amari doesn't get hurt, there's no way I see Amari finishing outside of being a wide receiver 2, with obviously that mid to low end wide receiver 1 upside that he's flashed, that he showed even bigger upside with those massive games with Flacco at the end of the season. Smash play for me at ADP 40. Definitely going to outperform his wide receiver 28 spot there. Next up, we have another running back. We have Travis Etienne, getting drafted ADP 44.4, running back 11. Etienne finished running back 3 overall last year and running back 7 points per game. Tell me what about this situation has changed. Nothing has changed about the Jags' offensive situation. Now, the pieces have changed, right? You lose Calvin Ridley, you bring in Brian Thomas Jr., and then you bring in Gabe Davis, you lost Zay Jones, right? Now, I think those are relatively lateral. Moves. But the big thing I'm looking at in this Jags offense is I don't think that passing game is going to majorly affect the Jags. I don't think they're going to be much worse on offense, much better. They might be a little better because if I remember correctly, they did overhaul offensive coordinators. But the thing we're hoping on this year is that T-Law is fully healthy and ready to go. The T-Law we saw post-injury, the Jags offense was so much worse with either Beathard or T-Law after he got a very significant injury, which severely impacted his production towards the later half of the season. To me, there's not that much of this change about the situation. Etienne is still a lead back. There's still no meaningful touches or goal line competition for him. He has a 3-down role guaranteed in Jacksonville. And I don't see how he doesn't finish as, let's just say, like a top 8 running back. Him finishing much lower, I think he's getting drafted at floor right now. Him finishing lower than running back 11 overalls is crazy to me. I think that's his floor is a low-end RB1. So you're drafting him at floor and you still get that top 3 upside that Etienne has flashed in the past. Now, we got 2 rookie wide receivers coming up in a row. First, we have Brian Thomas Jr. We just talked about Etienne on the Jags, and we're talking about Brian Thomas Jr. now. Elite prospect, obviously a first-round pick, played behind Neighbors. LSU's just been pumping out these wide receivers. I know that's not the best predictor of a player's NFL talent, but a ton of these LSU wide receivers are coming out ready to produce on day one. If you look at Justin Jefferson, if you look at Jamar Chase recently, those dudes have been popping off. So this year we have Neighbors and Thomas. So I think Jacksonville has never really had, this might be a controversial take, but I don't think the Jags have really had a true wide receiver one talent for Trevor Lawrence to work with. Ridley, from what we've seen, seems to be like a 1B, high-end 2A. And Brian Thomas Jr. is a much bigger draft capital investment than Ridley was at the time. That just shows his talent profile, his speed, sorry, I'm not a big film guy, so I actually am looking at the situation a lot for these guys. But we know first round draft pick means you're going to be starting day one. You're going to get those reps day one. I think Brian Thomas Jr. really has, for wide receiver 44, unless he massively busts, you're looking at close to what Ridley produced last year with the upside of a way better talent profile on Brian Thomas Jr. and potentially less competition. I mean, Christian Kirk is there, Gabe Davis is there. Brian Thomas Jr. for me has the upside to be an elite wide receiver one in an elite offense. And I'll buy into that every day of the week. Like I said, I think a lot of this ADP is factoring in T-Law's injury, which he should be fully healthy, ready to go. The T-Law that we saw 2 years ago, early 2024, when he's being really consistent and he looks like that prospect that we all thought he was coming out of Clemson, right? Now, next rookie wide receiver we have up, Keon Coleman, ADP 79.8, wide receiver 47. Give me Josh Allen's wide receiver one at 47 every day of the week, man. Josh Allen, how many yards is he projected for right now? I'm going to check this real quick. Let's just check Prize Picks. Josh Allen, dude, we just look at how many... We're going to look at the futures real quick. Josh Allen. Oh, wait, this is not the season props. Dude, Josh Allen's projected for 3,700 receiving yards, bro. Who is bro going to throw to, bro? Who is bro going to throw to? He has to throw for 4,000 yards to someone outside of Kincaid, bro. He can't throw 3,000 yards to Dalton Kincaid and not feed Keon Coleman, dude. Keon Coleman got solid draft capital, guaranteed role from day one, looking at how thin Buffalo's depth chart. We have Khalil Shakir, who is not a player that I hate. I do believe in Khalil Shakir. And Curtis Samuel, who's a good player, but much more of a guy you want on your team than a guy you want on your fantasy team. Curtis Samuel has just been kind of a good wide receiver and with a lot of gadget usage, at least when we look at his production profile over the last couple of years. He's also getting older. There's no elite competition in Buffalo. If Keon Coleman can tap into even 75% of that Stephon Diggs role, I mean, I know Stephon Diggs sucked towards the back end of last season, but Keon Coleman literally could be the number one target on a Josh Allen offense by the end of this year. It's most likely it's going to be Kincaid, but I don't see Keon Coleman being worse than the number two option on this Bills offense. And Josh Allen cannot just throw the ball to Dalton Kincaid, man. Keon Coleman has that elite upside that you're spending, what is this, 79? It's six to eighth round pick on. Keon Coleman has insane upside for where he's getting drafted right now. I'm taking him in as many drafts as I can. There's really, in my mind, there's not that much downside here. And he's stepping into an offense that we know has one of the best quarterbacks in football, a top 3 quarterback in football. So to me, that's a no-brainer. And then last one for this video. I feel like it's been pretty brief. We've gotten a quick dossier, is that how you pronounce it, of all the players you're going to want to hit in the first 90 picks of your draft. Obviously, we'll be coming back to cover those last 145 picks with 2 more videos. But if you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe. And our last player is Zamir White for the Las Vegas Raiders. ADP 86.9, running back 22. He has a clear route to the workhorse 3-down role. Don't overthink it. Massively productive when he was the running back 1 last year. There's virtually no significant competition. I know they brought in, who'd they bring in? They brought in Dylan Lobb. He's a pass catching back and a 6th round prospect. the best way to judge running backs, in my opinion, is just by draft capital. Zamir White had a higher draft capital than that. Alexander Madison, who got a job taken by Ty Chandler last season. Sorry, just like gagged or something. Alexander Madison, who we know is literally just the guy. And Zamir White put up numbers down the stretch last season when Josh Jacobs was hurt, man. Zamir White put up 3 down back numbers. Those might reduce a little bit with Lob. I think the Raiders' offense will be better with either AOC or Minshew, especially if they have Minshew. I do project this Raiders' offense to be better than people are expecting. They still have a lot of good pieces in terms of just putting together a team that can score. The main issue with Zamir White is just his talent maybe is not quite there, and they could bring in another guy mid-season. But I don't think the Raiders are in a spot where they're going to make a trade, especially for a running back. They don't seem like a team that needs that running back to push them over the edge. Raiders are just going to be a very mid team this season, if we're just being real. Mid to the bottom of the pack. I don't see significant competition coming in for Zamir White. I don't think this is like a Mike Davis situation where the guy's just a bum and they give Cordero Patterson carries. So, with that being said, I think you're getting a clear workhouse 3-down back at running back 22. Seems like pretty much a no-brainer to me, especially when we've seen what the new coaching staff wanted his role to be like down the stretch last season and just how effective he was in that role, right? All right, so those are my top conviction plays for the first third of your underdog drafts. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down on the video if I missed anyone that you guys really love. If you guys have a reason why I'm tripping on one of these picks. If you're not touching these guys, let me know. And, of course, if you're interested in lifestyle content, sub to Natty Vlogs. See y'all next time. To Natty out.